All right, y'all, we back with another reaction right here on ABP Reactions. And right now, the Michael movie is out and it's doing record-breaking numbers, man. It's going crazy right now. But they say Michael would never approve of this movie. Let's find out why.
The Michael Jackson movie isn't telling us the full truth. Fans were excited to see the full story of the King of Pop on the big screen. But what they got instead was a massive puff piece that completely rewrites history. The movie not only underplayed the reality of his childhood trauma, but it completely erased the most significant controversies of his life by cutting the story off in 1988. But why? Was it just to keep the movie positive, or were greedy labels rewriting history to protect a billion-dollar brand? Today, I'm showing you exactly how the Michael Jackson movie tried to rewrite history. We all know Michael Jackson is the biggest artist to ever live. We also know that he has had one of the most controversial careers, from a troubled childhood to massive controversies in his adult life. While he was the King of Pop, he was also a troubled individual who gave his soul to the art. But this movie completely erased half his story. Instead of telling the full story, they created the perfect fairy tale that would forever immortalize Michael Jackson in a positive light.
Brother, you can't tell the full story of Michael Jackson in 2 hours, man. No. In 2 hours, you try to cover Michael Jackson's life? That's crazy.
But don't get it twisted, they are not preserving his legacy for the sake of his reputation, but because they own his likeness and want to make sure it remains profitable. So what exactly does this movie show us? The film kicks off in Gary, Indiana, and walks us right into the rise of the Jackson 5. We get the early days of Michael performing and the studio hits, all the big musical milestones. The director packs the screen with studio sessions and exact concert recreations to keep the fans entertained. But when it comes to the dark side of his childhood, they kept things extremely safe. We see Joe Jackson being strict, but the movie frames his actions as just tough parenting to build discipline. The script then shifts to paint Michael as a pure musical genius dealing with the stress of fame. And then the most calculated part happens. Right after the Bad Tour in 1988, the movie ends. The studio wraps up the story right before the major legal battles and the real controversy even begin. They did this strategically. They knew they couldn't talk about the 90s without getting into the biggest controversies of his career.
I mean, all right. Here's my thing, right? Because they were saying the movie originally was 4 hours. And that due to some NDA shit that Michael Jackson and them had signed when all that little allegations came along, within the contract was they could never talk about this in a movie or something. It was something like that. So they had to take all that stuff out and reshoot some parts and all kind of shit. Janet Jackson didn't want to be in it. They had to remove her. Diana Ross, there was some issues with her. Boom, had to remove her parts. It was a lot of shit that they said it was originally in the movie that had to be taken out of. And then they was splitting it up into 2 parts, allegedly. Because they say, like, to be continued or some shit, basically, at the end. But my question is, are you here for a part 2 if it's only going to be about that, the legal issues? My thing is, I wish they could have figured out a way to make this a series with 8 parts. Because this is Michael Jackson we're talking about. There's a lot of layers to Michael Jackson's life and career. So a series would have been more realistic, but I don't think it would have been more profitable. And yes, was this a money grab to push his music back in the limelight, get people, to look at him in a good light again? Yes. If I'm the niggas that's doing business and I own his shit, I'm not mad at that. Shit, nigga, hey, I need y'all to keep buying his shit. Fuck all them weird allegations. You feel me? Like, I'm not mad at that if I'm the nigga that's making the money from it, but I get why people are like, no, they're not telling the whole story. And it's just like, do y'all want to see a part 2 where it's just about the allegations and not about his career? Let me know.
So they give us the music and the dancing, painting only the positive side behind his story. Let's take a look at what the movie chose to ignore about his childhood. The film depicts Joe Jackson as a man who was just obsessed with success. They give us a few scenes where he is being hard on his kids, but the movie frames it as a necessary evil to create stars. The script completely avoids the actual physical reality of what went on in that household. It replaces documented trauma with a soft version of discipline that feels more like a coaching style than actual abuse. They failed to illustrate that Joe sold his children's innocence for fame and riches. The producer made a very specific choice here. This version of his childhood acts as a foundation for the rest of the movie to stay positive and safe. They sanitize the early years so they can keep the character profitable for the general public. This is how narrative control works in a big budget biopic. They give you just enough to say they addressed it, but not enough to actually make you uncomfortable with the reality. They want you to sympathize with the family brand, instead of questioning the institutional environment that Michael was raised in. This is how they scrub the truth from their icons, how they reshape the story to fit the perfect marketable brand. They know Michael's story wasn't safe by any means, so they forced it to be safe. The media has been pushing the story that his family stepped in and purposely blocked the later years to protect his image. They absolutely played a role, but that is only a part of the truth. The major record labels and corporate backers were the true hand behind this movie. The entire movie was made as a rebrand. In today's world, artists are heavily affected by their biggest controversies.
Look at all these niggas getting money off of Michael. They just all up there happy. Yeah. Good looking, bro. We finna profit off your death. That's crazy how impactful this nigga career is. This is the biggest nigga in music. And I'm dead now. Everybody wants to be my best friend. Everybody, my brothers. What was your status of y'all relationship before y'all died? We don't know. But right here, it looks like everybody was cool. Everybody, Michael was happy with her. Michael probably hated some of these motherfuckers, man. Michael probably hated some of these motherfuckers. They over here smiling, happy as hell, profiting off his. You never know, man. You know it's family. Y'all know how this shit go, man. Family be beefing like a motherfucker, so I don't know.
The label needed to rewrite his history into a positive story. You have to understand how incredibly influential Hollywood biopics actually are. Millions of people go to theaters and watch these movies and accept them as a definitive historical truth. They know this film will permanently shape the public perception of Michael Jackson for an entirely new generation. The underlying motivation here is purely financial. The corporate goal is simply to continue milking his name for every possible dollar well into the future. They are securing a long-term revenue stream by ensuring the Michael Jackson brand remains spotless and entirely commercial. But the absolute dark irony in this movie was Michael Jackson's relationship with the music industry during the last decade of his life.
Hey, look what y'all doing for goddamn Epstein, motherfucker. Call a spade a spade. Y'all mad at them protecting Michael's image. What the? Y'all won't even release what Epstein got going with all these sick ass motherfuckers. Y'all niggas been protecting that shit for 20 years. Let's talk about that. You feel me? What about Epstein? Yeah, y'all on Michael because he a black man, white man, whatever he is, beige man. Lago.
Michael Jackson actively fought his record label. He staged massive public boycotts against them. He held press conferences to expose their business practices and called out the executives by name.
Man, Prince been doing that, man. You got that from Prince, Michael. You got that from Prince.
His ultimate leverage against the industry was his ownership of ATV Publishing Catalog, which held the rights to some of the most valuable music in history. The label desperately wanted total control of those publishing rights, but Michael completely refused to sell his ownership. He held his ground against the corporate machine and fought them tooth and nail until the day he died. Then look at what happened after he passed away. His family and the estate immediately turned around and sold those exact catalog rights back to the industry for billions of dollars. The very institutions that he went to war with were handed total control over his legacy and this movie. This is why they didn't tell the full story. They purposely skipped the biggest years of his career just to avoid putting the story on screen. This is how they shape the narrative. If they can control the story, they can rewrite themselves out of it.
Okay, I get what's going on here. So yeah, they don't want to tell the parts how Michael really felt about them because the people who put this movie out and who now owns his rights again is the niggas that he was slandering. No, it ain't about the allegations so much. If you're going to tell the allegations, you got to tell the other side on how he felt about the labels trying to shut him down and control him. But now, guess what? The label is in control of the movie. So, hey, we can't show that part because we got to talk about this part. It's going to be obvious if we show the allegations and not the parts how he felt about the music, the ownership, and the labels and shit. So they cut it out. Okay, I get it. I get what's going on here.
Michael would have never approved of this movie. He went completely against what the label stood for. He didn't want to be completely exploited by them. And this is exactly what they're doing with this movie. The record label was without a doubt his biggest enemy while he was alive. Today, those same corporate entities are the ones funding and writing his official story. They took a man who actively rebelled against their control and packaged his life into a safe, easily digestible commercial
And
product.
capitalized
They
off that
scrubbed
nigga.
the controversies and completely erased his war against the industry. You cannot sell a billion-dollar family-friendly brand if your main character is facing those kind of charges. What most people don't know is that the original drafts of the script actually included the events of the 90s. The studio was actually forced into massive reshoots that cost tens of millions of dollars just to scrub those scenes away. They had to remove that entire era because of strict confidential settlements that legally limit how the estate can portray those specific events. The estate used their legal and financial power to make sure those scenes were never shown. They also heavily restricted anyone involved in the production from speaking out. They kept the set locked down so the real story could never surface. They all
See, now I'm looking at this shit in a different light. I was thinking it got cut because of allegations, but then I totally forgot. Even up until his last dying year, LaToya said that he said, "Hey, if something happens to me, they did it." His sister said that. I saw that in an interview before he died. She said he said that to her. If something happened to me, they kill me. He was going out with a bang. Like he was standing his ground on fuck these labels. Don't sell my shit. Nigga, they trying to take my shit from me. They trying to take this publishing from me. To his dying day. And then the family sold him out for some money. Back to the people he didn't want to have his shit. How do y'all feel about that? The state selling it back to the people that he 100% didn't want to have it. Just because he's dead. And then making a movie about him. And then leaving out the parts on how he really felt about them. And everybody looking at it like, oh, he didn't want the allegations parts to come out. Nah, nigga. He didn't want the label side parts to come out. They didn't want it. Not him. They didn't want it.
also brought in a production team
We on
who
your
were
ass.
entirely willing to play ball with the estate. This production was completely controlled by a corporate boardroom executing a calculated PR strategy. They are betting that the general public would just consume the music and accept this manufactured reality without asking any questions. Sony actually licensed every single song you hear in the film, and they're controlling the official soundtrack. They have 500 million reasons to make sure this movie functions as a flawless commercial for his music. The sudden movie ending was a forced corporate fix. To protect their billion-dollar brand, the estate paid $15 million out of pocket to fund massive reshoots. They completely scrubbed the third act of the movie. They literally bought their way out of telling the truth. When you put all of the pieces together, the reality of this movie becomes completely obvious. The Michael Jackson biopic is a calculated corporate rebrand designed to protect a massive financial investment. The studio softened this traumatic childhood to make the narrative digestible for the general public. They spent $15 million in reshoots to legally scrub his biggest controversies right off the screen. Sony Music and the estate are working together to make sure the brand remains family-friendly and highly profitable. The ultimate tragedy here is that Michael Jackson spent the last years of his life fighting against this exact kind of industry control. He warned the public about the labels and refused to hand over his power to the executives. Now those same corporate entities own his history. They are
That's fucked up. That is really fucked up when you think about it. That nigga died not wanting to give it to them niggas. And now they got it back, and they doing exactly what he was saying. They trying to own everything. They try to control everything. They paint the picture the way they want to paint it. Like Mike was happy with the label. Mike loved the label. The label did anything for him. He asked, hey, MTV, I need you to make this happen now. Boo, 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 boo. Like, hey, it probably didn't go like that. It probably didn't go as smooth as the movie, you know what I mean, proceeded to be. We don't know. I wasn't there, but I'm sure it didn't go that smooth because, man. It all makes sense now, guys. It all makes sense now.
the ones writing his legacy. They turned his life into a massive commercial To secure their billion-dollar catalog, they gave the world the perfect fairy tale so they can keep the cash flowing. I want to know what you think. Did you watch this movie? And if so, did you like it? I saw it has an insanely high popcorn meter on Rotten Tomatoes, but the official critic score is quite low. Do you agree with me that this is shady music industry tactics? Or do you think there's nothing wrong with them erasing its biggest controversies?
Oh, man. How do y'all feel? Politics, 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 politics. You know what I mean? We're gonna scrub this part, but to the people in media, we're gonna say it's the allegations aspect. That's actually, hey, listen, I'm looking at it from their side. That's actually genius. Because nobody's questioning, hey, they cut out the parts because they didn't want to show how Mike felt about the labels. Everybody looking at it like they didn't want the story or the allegations to come out. You haven't heard both. You haven't heard people say because of both. Everybody say, oh, they don't want the kid shit to come out. They don't want the kid shit. They don't want to talk about it, so they cut it. Uh-huh. They controlling the narrative. Controlling the narrative. Now, if a part 2 was to come out, what would y'all want to see? That is the question. Would you want to see the truth and nothing but the truth? Or would you only want to see the highlight, the nice things about Mike? Or would you want to see the dark side of things? And if so, the whole dark side, the allegations and the label shit. Not just one, not just the other. Both, all, and whatever else entails in the dark side. Let me know, which do y'all think should be in the part 2? And do y'all think the part 2 is going to happen? I'm going to give y'all 2 seconds to smash the like. And as always, get ready for the next reaction.